Charlie lived by the principle that no matter how horrible another person's speech may be, their ideas must be defeated by better ideas.
Yeah, that's why we're going on the fucking most vicious anti-free speech campaign yet. Obviously, only to be trumped by the next campaign, but yeah. The way that they're talking about Charlie Kirk and being like he was an advocate and a champion for free speech is like, okay, let's say that's the case. It rarely ever is for right-wingers, but let's entertain that was the case, okay? Then what the fuck are you guys doing now? Like, what are you doing now? You're like, oh yeah, the Charlie Kirk was an advocate for free speech, and that's precisely why that's precisely why we're entertaining investigations into anyone and everyone who is ideologically opposed to him as the government. Okay? That's not free speech. It's the opposite of free speech. That's fucking nuts. That's not free speech. White House plans broad crackdown on liberal groups. Some of the highest ranking officials in the federal government used Charlie Kirk's podcast, guest hosted by Vice President J.D. Vance, to lay out their plans. And in which they straight up said, this is why I'm telling you. They straight up said, we're going after everybody. Okay? Not just leftists, liberals too. And I think liberals are totally in the dark. They do not understand what is coming. If you're a leftist, if you're an anti-Zionist, if you're an anti-capitalist, okay? If you've existed outside of the confines of what is permissible speech in mainstream media, you're already familiar with a lot of this stuff. You're already familiar with like what can happen. Okay? This is why I always say be cool, be normal. You know? Liberals, I don't think, recognize what is going to happen to them. Now, I don't know to what degree this crackdown will take place. I don't know what they're entertaining. All I'm saying is they're openly fantasizing about investigating leftists. Yeah. Meanwhile, Turkey. Hassan Piker should be banned on Twitch and then deported back to Turkey. And before people on our site cry about hypocrisy, remember that you can't say the word simp or R word on the platform, but you can openly incite murder against conservatives. Enough is enough. Nick Fuentes, who has fantasized about the assassination of Charlie Kirk on numerous occasions, is now taking up the mantle. Okay? Now, here's another thing. Yeah, this is the other thing that I saw. Here it is. I quote retweeted Elon Musk who said, paging Jeff Bezos. Okay. Since someone wants to claim that in the clip, which he told hundreds of thousands of Twitch followers to go murder people, was out of context, which I didn't do that. I just wanted to remind everyone that Hassan called for the assassination of Tom Cotton to his roughly 1 million followers. Now, even in this footage, even in this image that they're posting, you can see what is taking place. Okay. Here it is. Tom Cotton, I encourage people who get stuck behind the pro-Hamas mobs blocking traffic, take matters in your own hands to get them out of the way. Okay? That's a sitting senator from Arkansas straight up saying that you should do violence to protesters that are peacefully exercising their First Amendment rights. Okay? And I guess Pixie also said the same thing. This post is funny because it perfectly illustrates the asymmetry of violent rhetoric from the left and right. A Republican senator is insinuating that people should kill protests, but are demanding accountability from the content creator who is responding instead. And that's precisely what I said too. Elon Musk obviously retweeted this other Holocaust-denying, lolly-loving pedophile account. He's been doing that quite a bit these past couple of days. Okay, he said, paging at Jeff Bezos, why won't you listen to this pedophile Nazi and ban Hasanabi Piker? And then I quote retweeted it and I said, you're such a weirdo, man. And said the asymmetry of acceptable violence also exists in speech. Interesting that a direct call to action to violently take care of pro-Palestine protesters exercising their First Amendment rights by a senator is not seen as violent, as opposed to a meme schematic in the QRTs as a response. Okay? But that doesn't stop there. Elon Musk, who is obviously a billionaire, who is one of the most powerful people on the fucking planet, who has made it his life's mission now to possibly get me deplatformed or maybe worse, was then highlighted by Nick Fuentes with a fuck you, okay? Nick Fuentes, who is supposed to be a critic of Israel, remember? Nick Fuentes, who is supposed to be a critic of Israel, who has said a lot more violent shit about Charlie Kirk than I have. I have not said anything violent about Charlie Kirk, as a matter of fact. I've debated Charlie Kirk, and I was slated to debate Charlie Kirk. Nick Fuentes, on the other hand, has spent most of his career actively outflanking Charlie from the right, calling him a demon, calling him a fake Christian, saying that he had actually subscribed to he's given his life to Satan, consistently talking about what must be done to Charlie Kirk, is now actively trying to take on the mantle for Charlie Kirk. Let's take a look at what Nick Fuentes has said about Charlie Kirk.
I think a lot of people are starting to find out Charlie Kirk is not the patriot that he says he is. And so I look at what happened last night and I think to myself, this is totally a doable operation. You know, Charlie Kirk in the grand scheme of things is just some retarded idiot. The dog is terrified. I had to go upstairs and reassure him because I'm screaming at my screen, calling Charlie Kirk a bitch and everything. The contrast could not be more clear. Charlie Kirk is a totally unexceptional human being. A moral struggle that's happening on the higher dimension, right? Which is Christ versus the devil. Who does Charlie Kirk serve? You know, is he really a Christian? Is he really Christ-like when he supports foreign wars and Israel and all this? Look at the people he's taking money from. You know, so the guy's a fake Christian. The guy's not a patriot. He hates our country. He's un-American. Let's focus all our firepower on Charlie Kirk. Why are we doing this? It's because Charlie Kirk is a fake patriot, a fake Christian, and he hates his people. He's anti-white. This is our angle. We talk about Charlie Kirk's dual allegiance to Israel. The almighty Oz, you know, the massive head with the tiny face behind the curtain, Charlie Kirk, lording over the conservative movement. Remember, the goal is to expose the globalism, the fake conservatism of Charlie Kirk. People see that Charlie Kirk is not a real conservative. He is not a real nationalist. He is not a real Christian. And that is simply the truth. We humiliated Charlie Kirk last night. We took Gotham's White Knight, we brought him down to our level. We didn't exactly flip him, but we definitely humiliated him. We took one of their best and we made him a laughingstock. Charlie Kirk is not an honest broker, not a conservative. He exists, and Turning Point USA exists to control the conversation. Charlie Kirk was totally unhinged, and I think the guy has Asperger's, so he might have trouble with that. It has to play into this narrative, has to play into the framing that Charlie Kirk and Turning Point are not right-wing. They're not conservative. You know, Charlie Kirk gets asked a tough question, and he reverts back to Israel, God bless Israel, Israel's the best, you know. He malfunctions, he can't do it, because I think he has Asperger's. I believe that. We acknowledge that Charlie Kirk is not conservative. He's destroying the country, and we can all agree that we have to put a stop to that, right? Charlie Kirk is a retard and a coward, so we've got him checked on both fronts. It is worth mentioning that Dan Crenshaw, Charlie Kirk, I imagine these people, their IQs are like, 90, 95, something like that. I mean, these are not exceptional people. These are not intellectual heavyweights, right? Obviously, there's a big opportunity to humiliate Charlie Kirk in front of the president's son and demonstrate to the establishment that he is not in control. So that one is going to be a big one. You know, this is stuff that we've been saying for years, that Charlie Kirk is a leftist, that Charlie Kirk is not a conservative. There is a real risk that at an organizational level, we will cause problems for Charlie Kirk.
I remember you trying to ignore this asshat for years, and now here we are having to bring his awful ideas into the mainstream. You think I'm bringing his awful ideas to the mainstream? His ideas are already mainstream by Elon Musk, who fucking opened up the unlimited faucet of neo-Nazi sentiment on his platform that he owns, okay? That's just the reality. And obviously, now everybody knows who the fuck he is. People know what a groiper is now, okay? The reason why I did not cover Nick Fuentes, is because this is the more damning video of Nick Fuentes.
But that's what it is. What time is it?
Nick Fuentes about Charlie Kirk, America First, August 11th, 2025. It's very possible the alleged shooter is a groiper at this point. I'm hurtling towards you.
Charlie Kirk says, did you see this clip? He goes, your Generation Z sons have negative views about Israel. You need to tell them this. Time out. You need to tell them, time out. He said, if you feel like a loser, if you feel like your country's been destroyed, get a second job.
I saw a TikTok of a liberal seeming black lady, okay, young, straight up saying that she's an America First conservative that loves Nick Fuentes and thinks I'm genuinely evil. And it one-shotted me. Okay? It one-shotted me because I just don't understand how you can find yourself in the audience of a person who has time and time again said that you are an inferior being. Like that, I don't know. I don't understand how you do that. I don't understand how you find yourself there. Like, I'm not saying you should be a fan of mine, you know, fuck it. If you don't want to be, you don't have to. But it just does not make sense how easily duped people are.
Get a Hillsdale online course. Observe the Shabbos. He literally said this. I am hurtling towards you, full force, going nearly 90 miles per hour, weighing close to 1,500 pounds. I am hurtling towards you like a human missile to blow up this whole thing. And you're telling Generation Z, buy a Hillsdale course? Get a second job, observe the Shabbos, go to Turning Point. Fuck you. You are not ready for this. You are not prepared for this. And I'll say it now like I did in 2017, the day after Charlottesville. A tidal wave of white identity is coming. And once word gets out, they will not be able to stop it. As I said, the day after Charlottesville, 8 years ago, prophetic.
By the way, Nick Fuentes is a neo-Nazi, right? He's like denies the Holocaust. He thinks Jews are responsible for all of society's problems, all this stuff, right? Nick Fuentes also happens to be a neo-Nazi that is anti-Israel. He's been anti-Israel from the jump. Not because he cares about all the people that Israel has killed, mind you, because he's obviously also viciously and vehemently anti-Muslim, anti-Arab, anti-whoever he considers to be not white. Now, Nick Fuentes himself is Hispanic, so that is also up for debate, whether or not he actually fits into the in-group that he is actively claiming is superior and should be defended, and the out-group that should be excised and destroyed. But because of this reason, because he was a very visible person who was anti-Israel for many, many years, he has been able to present himself as an earnest actor here, an honest actor, like a honestly anti-Israel actor, okay? Part of the reason why I was always troubled by a bunch of cynical right-wing grifters who claim to be anti-Israel specifically to garner the attention of mass audiences that they realize are looking for that kind of commentary, and part of the reason why even people like Nick Fuentes, who are honestly anti-Israel, or at least they were, but for anti-Semitic reasons, the reason why I thought that this was a dangerous prospect for a very long time was because it was going to give them amazing momentum, and it did. And now he's in a position to cash that in, okay? He can turn around and say, I've been debanked, I've been prosecuted, I've been pursued because I was right on Israel over and over again without actually revealing what his true opinion is, okay? And unfortunately, even before this Charlie Kirk assassination, I noticed that he was gaining a shit ton of prominence. Okay? He was gaining a shit ton of prominence, even amongst liberals. Charlie Kirk has always been wishy-washy with Trump support. He's gone back and forth. I mean, he was a participant in January 6th. There's suspicion that he might even be a cooperator with law enforcement. But if you're wondering personally, like, oh, well, he's turning on Trump because Trump is too pro-Israel or whatever, that's not new. He has done that for a while. One of the big fears that I had was that Americans are more comfortable with anti-Semitic narratives when it comes to anti-Israel than actual materialist analysis as to why Israel plays this role. And that is happening in real time. And now he is positioned to seize control of seize control of the throne, basically, to become the forward-facing Gen Z guy for Republicans. This will drive down their numbers. What? No, I don't think you understand. He is a shrewd operative, very cynical, and also has the capacity to be funny at times, which is very dangerous. Charlie Kirk did not have that capacity. Nick Fuentes, despite presenting an even greater threat, being a straight up out and about Holocaust denying fascist, actually can be funny at times, which is how he is able to win favors with a broader audience. He's a cynical room reader. He knows how to position. He knows how to position his perspective in a way that comes across as appealing to liberals as well. He is a person that has been able to withstand the full faucet of deplatforming. And in spite of all of that, given the attitude shift that has been seismic on the issue of Israel, he's been able to basically claw himself back into relevance. And he's gotten a lot of help along the way, obviously, from the likes of Destiny, to which Destiny openly admitted to, saying, you know, I put him in front of so many fucking podcasters, including like No Jumper and all these fucking people, to which he then went along with like the whole Kanye train as well. There are many prominent right-wing figures online that are openly propping him up. Tucker Carlson being one of them, Asmongold being another, okay? He is very well positioned. Yes, Nick Fuentes, alongside Kanye West, had dinner with Donald Trump as well, or lunch, or I think it was dinner. It doesn't really fucking matter. But basically, the real reason why he has garnered this level of attention and this level of prominence is because a lot of people, Aiden Ross platforms him all the time. Aiden Ross, who is Jewish himself, has literally watched all of his videos and keeps saying he's based, he's awesome, attacking all of Nick Fuentes' enemies, people like myself. But like I said, the real reason why he has garnered this much attention in the last year or so is because the attitude shift on Israel has been seismic, and he has been seen as an earnest, an honest anti-Israel guy, a guy who has been anti-Israel for a very long time. And a lot of people don't make that assessment. They don't think like, why is this person anti-Israel, for example? Okay? They also feel that way. They also feel anti-Israel because you should feel a level of animosity towards a fucking apartheid state that is unchecked, that is taking unlimited funds from America, from American taxpayers, and unlimited weapons to destroy the entire existence of a population of people, the Palestinians. Okay? But he's been able to use that anger and resentment that people have to prop himself up. Okay? That's the real reason. And that's the real reason why he was able to position himself against Charlie Kirk as well. They're pretty much they're pretty much aligned on everything, with the exception of Israel, right? Which is why he was always angling his position to showcase how honest he was and to showcase how dishonest Charlie was, despite and even at times showcase how dishonest Trump was, despite the fact that he rode Trump's coattails as well. So that's where we're at. Do I know where this goes? I don't. I haven't really followed Nick Fuentes too closely. I don't know how much of a shrewd operator he is, and whether or not he will actually reposition his commentary away from shitting on Israel to basically become the administration's guy, because that's the one thing that I don't think the admin will allow. You can't go beyond like Tucker Carlson style narratives when it comes to speaking out against Israel. And Nick Fuentes certainly goes beyond Tucker Carlson. If you notice, Tucker Carlson will speak out against Israel in a way where he will speak out against Israel in a way where he won't ever turn around and be like, this is the Jews, this is the doing of the Jews. He will actually, if you listen to him just on Israel, he comes across as almost like an anti-Zionist, right? Because he knows he's a professional media broadcaster. He knows how to dance around the issue. Nick doesn't do that, or hasn't done that up until this moment. But it does feel like this 180 degree pivot on Charlie Kirk, for example, leads me to believe that he is going to moderate his position now that he has more prominence and try to become the face of the Gen Z right.
You think you're in control? Do you feel in charge? Who else we gonna bring in? Elon, Tucker, Candace, you know what their next move is going to be. It's been fun. It's been fun. It's been a good time. But pray for your boy. Because the problem is, look, I've been doing this for a long time. People watch the show, they're like, this show's great. I've been saying this for 10 years. All this stuff, I've been saying it for 10 years. That's why they locked me up. That's why they shut me down. The problem is I'm just saying it now to everybody. And they're going to make me pay. In one way or another, they're going to try and shut me down.
Do you think his fans will turn on him if he tries to moderate himself and be like Charlie? No. He was shitting and pissing his pants about you on his show too.
Somebody like Hassan Piker.
Yeah.
Such a...
Yeah, that was why I thought it was really funny when he was like... That was why I thought it was funny when he was like shitting on me on his return stream that he did, right? On Rumble, I believe, in the aftermath of Charlie Kirk's assassination, where he said that I didn't sufficiently grieve Charlie Kirk, that I'm a dangerous and violent individual who needs to get deplatformed. And it's really interesting because, like, I am perhaps the most visible, the most prominent anti-Israel media figure on the left. And also, there is a fucking reason why the ADL has been up my asshole non-fucking stop and rarely ever discussed Nick Fuentes in the process, especially in the last 2 years. And now he wants that voice gone. Interesting. Maybe he's just doing this because he wants to shift. He wants to use the existing momentum, the punitive momentum that they have in the administration, the appetite that they have to prosecute political dissidents of the administration. Or maybe he wants to shift the attention away from people asking questions about his anger, his hatred for Charlie Kirk, how much he has pursued Charlie Kirk throughout his career to make a name for himself. Same with Ben Shapiro. Maybe that's the reason why he's hitting that note. You're going to get arrested, bro. It's really funny when dumb fucks do this. All day, they come in here and they fantasize. You're going to get arrested. This administration is going to take you out. They're going to take you down. You got to ask yourself, is that helpful to you? This administration has already detained me because of my anti-Israel stance. Do you agree with the administration's policies on Israel? Do you feel like if a prominent critic of the administration, a political dissident, is arrested falsely, unjustifiably, on free speech grounds, that your life will improve? Are you that fucking stupid? Is that going to make life more affordable for you? Or is that just simply a distraction? Do you feel like your life got better when Donald Trump came after the 49 transgender athletes? That's a big deal, right? That was the biggest deal. Thank God, finally someone's doing something about the transgender panic. Or are you that fucking stupid that you ate that bait? Yeah, you're finished. That's what I hear all the time. You're finished. This administration is going to come after you. This administration is going to destroy you. Okay, let's say that takes place. Okay, by the way, this person says, you are a Nazi leaning and use fascist tactics to silence the debate. Now, I don't know if you're talking about me in that situation, or if you're talking about Nick Fuentes, who just posted Hassan Piker, who is a Nazi, by the way. He literally is a Nazi. Hassan Piker should be banned on Twitch and then deported back to Turkey. And before people on our side cry about hypocrisy, remember that you can't say the word simp or R word on the platform, but you can openly incite murder against conservatives. Enough is enough. I mean, there's an actual real Nazi right there. And before people ask me, like, why are you talking about Nick Fuentes? You didn't used to talk about Nick Fuentes. Yeah, dude, I didn't, because he was utterly irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. But I noticed that he was actually reaching a level of prominence that I thought wasn't so great. And now he has reached that level of prominence. Now he is a genuine issue. Here are all the times that Jonathan Greenblatt talked about Nick Fuentes. Once, obviously, the anti-Israel sentiment got to a degree that was terrifying. He moved on to bigger and better things, okay? He's been too busy coming after me since October 7. This is part of what I explained. This is part of what I was talking about. I said these fucking dumbass liberal institutions that present themselves as civil rights organizations, that spend every fucking waking moment trying to go after people who are anti-Zionist but not anti-Semitic are doing a disservice. This is the environment you created. I hope you fucking enjoy it. There were two routes in the United States of America where people would exhibit anti-Israel behavior. Either they would be anti-Zionists who are not anti-Jewish, or they would become anti-Semitic anti-Zionists. And if all of the right was constantly shitting on the left, and the liberal institutions of prominence were also shitting on anti-Zionists who were not anti-Semitic, the voices that would be elevated in that process in mainstream discourse would be the anti-Semitic anti-Israel people. And now you're there. You did this. When you Google Nick's name, the second result is the ADL hit piece. What are you even saying? First of all, Nick Fuentes is anti-Semitic. Make no mistake. I mean, fuck the ADL. They are Nazis as well. Okay? But so is Nick Fuentes. My hatred and my anger and my resentment towards Nick Fuentes is because of the same resentment that I have for fascism when Israel is doing it. It doesn't matter. When Israel does fascism, when Israel engages in ethno-religious supremacist ideals, when Israel is working at the behest of Zionism, that's still fascism. It doesn't change at all when it's Nick Fuentes doing it for what he describes as white people that features him as well. It's just fascism. It's still fascism. That's why I've always said, it's kind of funny when like a lot of these neo-Nazis talk about how much they hate Jews and how much they hate Israel. It almost feels like they're jealous. Like, how does Israel get to do Jewish exceptionalism, Jewish supremacist values? How would they get to masquerade as though they are, as though they can have a apartheid state for themselves? Something that another fucking idiotic fascist presented to Jonathan Greenblatt when they had a conversation. These guys are just jealous that Israel gets to have a genocidal apartheid state that masquerades as one working at the behest of Jews, right? A genocidal apartheid state for with ethno-religious supremacist values. Why can't they have that for Christians in America, for white Christians in America? That's the whole point for them, okay? They're just mad. That's it. It comes from a place of envy. I'm morally consistent on this issue. The point I was making was not that Jonathan Greenblatt has never talked about Nick Fuentes. Of course he has. Of course he has. The point I was making is, since October 7, 2023, Jonathan Greenblatt has only talked about one prominent critic of Israel, and that wasn't Nick Fuentes. When he goes on national television, whenever there is another incident that took place that he's framing as yet another act of anti-Semitic violence, he brings my name up. He says Hassan Piker at Twitch is the one who is responsible for this. It's fucked up, man. Anyway, but now he's shaking hands with those guys. Like Elon Musk, shaking hands with Elon Musk to demand deplatforming. Richest man in the world is trying to cancel you. How's that feeling? It's just whatever. It's another fucking Monday. It is what it is. Let's
hollow.
continue.
Such a hollow, empty, sad person. Hassan Piker saw Charlie Kirk, someone that he knew, get shot in the neck and his neck erupt with blood. We don't need to be graphic about the details, but everybody should look at that long and hard and let it sit with you. When Hassan saw that, his first reaction was to make a glib remark about gun control.
Yeah, he didn't think that my shock and distaste for what I saw was sufficient, and he was mad that I turned around and said the only way that this violence could have potentially been prevented, not a 100% guarantee ever, is if there were people in positions of power that took the initiative and took active steps to prevent gun violence from taking place in this country. Interesting that was not, that was completely unacceptable. You're not supposed to talk about that.
Seriously? That's a 31-year-old man. That's a young man with a wife and kids. He got shot in cold blood, publicly executed in front of thousands of college students. Never forget the trauma of his children, of his family. What about the people that witnessed this? What about everybody that will be affected by the knock-on violence that results from this. And you hollow, sick person, your response is to make some glib remark about gun control? Fuck you. Fuck you. And here's
Again, a Holocaust-denying neo-Nazi who actively stalked and got his audience of groypers to stalk Charlie Kirk wherever he went, a person who is likened miscegenation, race mixing, to bestiality, having sex with animals. That's who we're talking about. That is Nick Fuentes, okay? Over here, trying to engage in some sort of moral posturing, engaging in the exact same fake fucking outrage, while also demanding that any sort of left organizing get censored, get deplatformed, and criminally prosecuted. After years and years of developing some kind of credibility in these corners of the internet, okay, by saying, I've been debanked, I've been deplatformed. Now he's turning around and saying, I want that for the left.